So Bitcoin just pumped, then dumped, and stocks are stuck. So what's going on with the market? If you want that information, what I'm looking at, make sure to stay tuned. We'll break down crypto and Bitcoin today. And as always, if you're not subscribed to the channel, you got to subscribe. Every day I'm making videos here for crypto and Bitcoin. What we want to do is go ahead and click the subscribe button right now on your computer, that white button, because that helps the algorithm of YouTube pick up this content that I make for free every week. And so just breaking down Bitcoin and crypto, make sure you click subscribe, and also make sure that you click the like button, because I do like to give away Bitcoin each and every week to people who comment, and that's going to be coming up here soon in the coming week. So with that said, subscribe. I want to go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin. Man, don't we hate red? If it's not Christmas time in the world, then typically people hate the red color, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. Big news yesterday was FOMC, the Federal Reserve, met, discussed interest rates, and we'll break that down here in a moment, what exactly happened. But I can tell you right now that initially Bitcoin had a nice pump out of that, as well as the stock market. You can notice right here, and we're starting to pull back in the stock market, with Bitcoin actually basically pulling back the gains that it made after that pump from FOMC. So if you're not aware, the Fed decision recap from Chair Powell, the FOMC meets throughout the year, not every month, but they discuss whether they want to have rate cuts, which of course impacts you because that impacts your investments in Bitcoin and crypto. And typically, as we see those lower rates, it costs less to borrow money and more people to buy Bitcoin and stocks and crypto. So the thing about yesterday was this: they didn't cut rates. Nobody expected them to cut rates yesterday. That's fine news. But the good news is that the Fed has actually discussed that they're slowing down quantitative tightening, or QT. Okay, and so QT is basically when the Fed sells government bonds, pulling money out of the system, and they've been selling around $25 billion a month, but starting in April, they're slowing it down to $5 billion from what we know at the moment after that discussion yesterday. And why does this matter? Again, slowing QT, slowing this quantitative tightening, makes financial conditions looser, right? Less selling, lower bond yields, easier borrowing. That's good. It's not a full pivot from the Fed, but it's baby steps towards easing, which again will hopefully be good for our investments in the markets. Now, they only projected 2 rate cuts. Now, I talked about this in my videos recently, that if they have multiple rate cuts, more than 2 this year, it could likely send a signal, a bullish signal as well, for risk on assets. They again declared that the focus was, as you can see here, 2 cuts overall. So citing tariffs and uncertainty, the Fed sees higher inflation and lower growth. So they're cautious. They're sticking to 2 right now, but they do want to see how the economy reacts to tariffs and inflation first. So during Powell's speech, they always make the announcement, and then Powell always talks afterward. During his speech, basically he broke down what we've heard again and again, that inflation was transitory, which means temporary, and he's watching tariffs and the impact inflation and growth before making next big move. So we're not expecting rate cuts until at least May, likely June. If it does happen in May, expect some fireworks to happen in the market. So the Fed isn't really ready to fully support risk assets yet, but they're slowly easing up, which is a good thing. Tariffs are the big wild card, and so we have to see in April, those are supposed to start. And so that's why markets are a bit hesitant right now. And that's why you see Bitcoin pulling back continuously, even though we had some good news with QT. We had that initial pump in the market. So they're really, again, this word we use again and again is uncertainty. There's uncertainty in the market. And whenever that happens, the market doesn't like it. Buyers don't like it. They tend to be risk off. So you're seeing a lot of this chop, kind of a trader's market, meaning that the traders bought in that QT, they sold off that pump, and now we're riding back down. Now for Bitcoin, I do want to see, I've broken Bitcoin up in two ranges right here, right? So basically above 84, 85K, and then down to that low of 76K, back up to around that 92K level. These are the ranges that we're looking at. We do want to stay up above 84, 85K for Bitcoin, at least in the short term. Any breakdown from this, and it's very likely that Bitcoin could break back down here below sub 80K, which if you are a long-term investor, you're probably not worried about. But if you're a short-term holder, if you're trying to buy these other crypto assets, it's probably going to end up hurting you, because we know when Bitcoin pulls back, most of the other crypto assets pull back even more. So expect volatility is what I'm trying to tell you. The good news overall is that we've seen from Glassnode here that the Bitcoin accumulation trend score is up. As they say, the accumulation trend score has risen above 0.1, indicating some buying during the recent downtrend. So while distribution remains dominant, selling, this shift suggests early signs of accumulation. So we may have seen the worst of the downtrend. Can we hit below sub 80K again? Of course we can, but that's not the end of the world. That's only around a 5% pullback after already pulling back over 20-25%. That's not a really big deal, especially if you foresee, as I do, things to get a lot better in the coming months, especially after these tariffs settle down a little bit, after the rate cuts come, after the Fed pivots a little bit more. We're going to see a lot more risk on, more liquidity in the markets, therefore a bright future ahead. But at the moment, a lot of uncertainty is what I'm trying to tell you. If you are buying other assets short-term for trades, be wary that those could pull back in the short term. So be prepared for that. If you're looking for those short-term gains, not for sure how much you're going to get as far as altcoins go. There are always outliers in the market, meaning that there are some altcoins that are going to perform pretty well. Lower cap coins, of course, on chain. But again, you have to be on the ball with those, just understanding that those are quite volatile and can pull back as much as they can pump. Now, Ethereum, again, have been really preaching how weak it's been overall. It did have a nice pump compared to Bitcoin over the past couple of days, and it's already retracing that pump. So if you look at the ETH BTC chart, again, we thought that ETH was going to potentially break out here, break this long trend, multi-year downtrend against Bitcoin. But look what's happening now. It bounced and again, rejected off that moving average on the daily chart. And we're back down, chopping around. ETH BTC, ETH is just looking weak overall for a long-term investment. As I always say, I look more towards Bitcoin and not Ethereum. Not that I don't like Ethereum, what they're trying to do, what they're trying to build, but bottom line, it's just been really weak. And so if I'm looking at the major assets with ETFs and crypto, Bitcoin is definitely the dominant. It's mainly a Bitcoin market. Of course, the more dominant Bitcoin is, the more money that flows out of those altcoins into Bitcoin. And so that's also something else that you want to pay attention to. But overall, I'm not going to go ahead and look at most of these altcoins today. If you look, there's red everywhere. Most of these pumps have actually pulled back. Not really anything of interest that I'm looking to buy right now. But as always, BNB up 2%. There's some of these different altcoins that do have nice little bursts, but again, 1 to 2% is not going to be life-changing by any means, especially a short-term trade. So I'm staying out of the market with a lot of these altcoin trades. So that's just really breaking it down. To wrap it up, the Fed didn't really give us anything. There's no rate cuts right now. The only thing that they gave us was slowing QT, right? Quantitative tightening, and that's a step for easing. And right now the markets are just waiting to see how these tariffs shake out overall. And that's really what we're watching. Until we get clearer data, Bitcoin and stocks are likely to stay in this range-bound area. Okay, so that's what I want you to know. And just understand, I will continue to give more updates on Bitcoin and crypto every week. So you have to make sure to subscribe, because there's going to come a time where you need to be in the markets, where there's going to be things that are popping, where it's going to be really important to be risk on. And we're going to talk about that and what exactly I'm looking for. So make sure that you subscribe here on the channel. And just to note as well too, I'll be traveling this week. So I will have a few videos of me, mainly just facial shots with my phone. I'll try to record some videos and update you if there's any major changes, but just heads up, I did have these plans for a very long time to travel just for this upcoming week, not very far as that goes. Just make sure that you understand that, but you will definitely see me on the channel. I'll be uploading a few more videos at this time. If you want more helpful market breakdowns, make sure to click subscribe. Make sure to check some of the videos above that I have listed as well too with helpful information. And so with that said, you guys continue to trade safe. We'll have more updates soon on Bitcoin. Have a great day.